Hello and welcome to Promenade Culture Center. This is Culture Corner. We bring you the authentic stories of creative individuals. Today with us, the longest serving radio presenter of 99.7 RKFM, Maha Hassan, radio host and producer. Maha, very warm welcome to Promenade Culture Center and to Culture Corner.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited.
I hope so, because we've done this before, but not in the same roles.
No, the roles reversed.
Yes, and I am so privileged to be able to interview some of the lovely people who've interviewed me before and who have created space for culture, arts, education in their programming. I love that.
It's brilliant. It's always a pleasure, of course.
We were just talking prior to taping how you actually have a podcast. And I was not aware of it prior.
Yes.
We spoke of it. It was my gain to learn about it. And you have a co-host as well. Shout out to him.
Big shout out to DJ Aki, my morning show co-host.
I want to ask you first and foremost about this. How did this come to be? And do you enjoy working in a duo?
Yes. There's this great energy feeding off of someone else, regardless of anything. I've been doing this solo, doing the radio show solo for so long. But when I'm with someone or have someone there, there's this amazing energy that you can feed off of, you can, and Aki is one of them as well. He's not just like a great DJ and co-host, but he's also a colleague of mine as well and a friend. And we share this love of horror. This horror films. We just love horror films. And not just any horror films. Yes, the commercial ones, but also some hidden gems, some Asian cinema, and all the genres that come about it. And we're like, well, and we really talk in depth about these, like in detail. So we're like, why don't we start our own podcast? It was just a passion project, just for fun. It was mostly for us.
Yeah.
It's more of a selfish kind of a thing. But it grew into something more than that. And we loved it.
So how long has it been that you've been doing this podcast and what are the plans for it now?
Well, since it's horror, we started in spooky season, October, of course. So it's a weekly episode. So we've got 13 episodes. So it's like a season that we've done. And then we do like a best of at the end of the year of all the current films as well as some classics, and all the genres, of course. We still haven't covered zombies yet, and I'm disappointed.
Well, there's time. And how is the response? And who is your audience?
Surprisingly, a lot of people, a lot of film enthusiasts. Horror is actually a big thing. Not just around the world, but like really in Kuwait as well. Like a lot of people, I remember when I was young, there was a lot of horror films in the cinema. And back then, they didn't have kind of a rating system. So anyone, a kid could go and watch.
Oh my God. I watched The Clown when I was 9.
That is not cool.
No.
It's so traumatizing.
No, this will never leave me.
One of the stories that I say in one of them, it's like how I was introduced to horror was my mother took me to Aliens, the second one. And thinking that it was an E.T. film. It's like, oh, it's E.T., let's go. She didn't know better. I was horrified.
Yeah,
of course.
I can imagine.
And plus there's a little girl in this as well. She's my age, what's going on. But after that, I was like, well, there was this like thrill and exhilaration that came out of it. I was like, oh, I kind of like this. I want more of this. This is interesting.
So how frequently do you have your episodes? And I think you've mentioned season 1 wrapped up.
We just finished season 1, 2024. So it's 13 episodes. At the end of the year, you can find it on Quebec World on YouTube and enjoy.
And I have to say, it's visually so pleasing because it's so much fun watching you guys and the things you do and the things you carry on your heads. And
we go all out.
So it's not just what you talk about. It's also how you look and how it looks.
Yeah, it's about having fun as well.
Very unique.
We poke fun at horror, but we also poke fun at ourselves because we love this and enjoy it.
Let's go back to the radio. So I'm very curious. I've mentioned that you are the longest serving radio presenter of the English language station in Kuwait. And how did this adventure start? How do you become a radio host?
I don't know if it was like by accident or I was kind of pushed by one of my professors in university. So I did a radio class, and
Was it here?
no, it
Okay.
was in Cyprus.
Okay.
And I did a radio course, and I went in, and I was like, he just offhandedly just said, "Somebody come on." And just announce or whatever. And nobody volunteered. And I was like, I'll do it. And then I did it, and I was like, why was everyone terrified? They just didn't know what to do. And then after the class, he was like, you're really good at this. You should think about doing this. I was like, okay. But mostly it was my love of music. My love of music, and thanks to like my family as well, music was always around. I never, like growing up in the UK as well, when I was younger, TV, there was always like a chart topping, like Top of the Pops was on. So I always watched that, radio was really prominent. It would be playing in the kitchen. My mom would love playing ABBA tapes, and like you grew up with music. So my dad loved Motown and jazz, and then my mom loved the pop music. So I was influenced by a lot of that. But then at university, it was great. And even like when I was like younger, in high school, we had like MTV, which is a huge thing. MTV was, I never missed MTV. I would record it like late night shows that I wanted to watch with like alternative music, just in case I missed out on the latest in music, and just like watch it when I came back from school.
I think there's not a single place in the world where radio was not important.
It's
and
very
I think
important.
in all of us, all of our childhoods and growing up. So I still have the device, so to call it, as my kids call it nowadays, that can play cassettes, and that, I used to listen to radio on it. And occasionally I would have, an empty cassette so I can tape some nice songs and then later play them in the car. How beautiful was this?
The mixtape. It was genius. And sometimes you would stay like a long time just hoping for a song to come up, or especially the announcer to make sure that that song is coming up. And you get so excited. You get really excited, and you'd get like record it. Radio is like, and even the host played an important part, because they were your companion. People are on their own in the car. They were there to help you. They're your friend, and you'd have like, you could call in. I remember the times when I was younger, I used to call into the radio to 99.7 when I was younger, and like make a request or give a shout out. I was so excited, like I finally got through. That excitement in itself was amazing.
When I was in college, so one of the first classes I had when I first started was radio production. And our professor was this retired gentleman from the radio who spent his whole life working on the radio. And his enthusiasm was crazy. So I love the radio. Obviously, I listened to it, and it was part of our lives. But I think I wasn't aware of the importance of it until I actually had classes in it, learned about the history, the importance in some really in some days that were like crucial for something happening in the country and so on. So I'd like us to delve a little bit into the presence of the radio and in all of our lives, and how important it is, and how easily you get information through radio, how easily it is broadcasted further and so on. How do you feel about radio nowadays and the work you do?
Some people say radio is a dying, form of media. I don't think so. It's always going to be there. As you say, like, you can always, especially in a world where everything is instant, instant gratification, everything, even songs like TikTok songs, 15 seconds of this and that. In a world where everything is there, it's nice to be like, you switch on the radio, don't know what's coming up next, It's a really satisfying thing. It kind of removes that choice as well from you, and just saying like, trust us, we got you, You might not like it half the time, but we're still there, you know? And that's the surprising nature, I think, of that. As opposed to like, well, I'm going to listen to this or listen to this album, etc. That's all and good, you know, but radio will always be there, I think.
Did you have any idols from radio, either radio hosts or someone from the history of radio, or mentors, or how did you grow?
Mentors. Yeah, there's a couple of people in my life that kind of helped. My dad for sure. Whenever we'd go into any place, and he would tell me, "Oh, this is Sam Cooke, or this is Diana Ross, or this is," and he'd sing along to it as well. So that made it really, really fun for me. That's one element. But I think my life. Mostly it was alternative music. There was a radio station that I really, really loved, and it was an online one called Radio Nova, and it's a French station. It still goes on now, and it's absolutely brilliant. And I remember begging the French embassy here. I was like, you have to take me to, I have to be at Radio Nova. And they're like, we got you sorted. Traveling to France, we're sorting you out. And I actually met the owner of Radio Nova. I was like, you don't understand how much that station has impacted the way I listen to music as well, because nothing made sense, but it made sense. So you would listen to some alternative artist, an indie artist, and then they will play Miles Davis straight after. And then it just like, this is not supposed to go, but it makes sense to me. So I was like intrigued. I was like, how do you do this? And they have these really very intelligent, really sweet, like jumpers in between, and then for a few moments you'll have a beat poet on. And then I was like, this is really interesting to me. And this is making music really enjoyable. So I think Radio Nova for me is the one when it comes to who I am now, especially. Yeah.
We will talk more about the music and the influence it has on you and how you influence music. I just want to go back to you coming to Kuwait radio station for the first time, and how did that happen, and how did this journey start?
It was brilliant, actually. I went in for an interview. So they always do an interview with you. And then they actually did an audition. And I was like, oh, this is cool.
And you're a young graduate at the time.
Yes. So I finished mass communication, went in, and they're like, so what do you want to do? I was like, whatever's available. I just want to work at radio, I'd love to be a host as well. I have ideas. And they're like, okay, go on and just talk. They just put a microphone in front of me and like, just think of an idea and just talk. And I did it. And it was between me and I think 2 other girls. And they took me. They're like, yeah, we'll take you.
The rest is history.
The rest is history. But I'll be very honest with you. I wasn't a very great host to begin with. I was terrible. Very shy.
Very difficult to picture that now.
Yeah, because I forgot that millions of people were listening to me. Now it's fine, But back then you're like, the anxiety kicks in. But it's okay, actually. It's not so bad.
What was the first thing you did? How did this go? We obviously, a lot of us know you from the drive back.
Yes.
But there were other things as well.
Yes. I really wanted a show kind of like the same concept as Radio Nova. I wanted to introduce all of these amazing things, but not really introduce. I wanted to share. That was my goal, is to share and bring other people on who had great music taste or had an eclectic taste in music to come on and share their music as well. So it was more of a sharing experience. I always say it like, it's not introducing, it's sharing. And that's the most important thing. So I had a show called The Late Night Lounge. It was a small show. They gave me an hour on a Monday night. They're like, here you go. You could do whatever you want with it. I was like, okay, great. This is what I want it to be called. and this is what I'm going to be doing. You're like, okay. So played whatever they had there. Like I dug into the library, the archives that we have in at the superstation, and got some really great music. And even on 92.5, which is our sister station that plays instrumentals, I was like, this is fantastic. I've got jazz and classical music, and I've got some alternative music as well. So I was like, I'm going to start doing this and try to. I messed around a bit, still was really riddled with anxiety when I did it, but I got the hang of it and really enjoyed it. A few people apparently listened to the show and really enjoyed it. And they said, well, we got a call from people and they want you to switch to a weekend, but we're going to give you 2 hours as well. I was like, okay, that's a lot of pressure, but I like the idea that you're doing this. So I was like, I was really, really flattered. And I thought that was absolutely brilliant. There are people out there that listen. So, yeah.
What is the loveliest part of your job, and what are the challenging parts?
Yeah. The best part, I love the people that I work with as well. And being introduced
how
to...
important is that really, right?
It's the most important. We are like family, definitely. We respect each other. We're very different, but we're a bunch of misfits. We're really fun. There's a lot of respect. There's a lot of love. We help each other out. Oh, you need something. Here's an idea. We sit together and we throw out ideas and help each other out. And that's the beauty of that one. Also being introduced to new music, it does really push you. And especially for someone who's done this for 20 years, there are moments when I do get lazy, I'm not going to lie. And it gets really rough, like I put so much energy and then like, okay, how am I going to top this? And how am I going to top that? And I put so much pressure on myself. And I was like, okay, you can rest. You don't have to like overdo it at times, But that's the most important part. Another great thing, I get introduced to amazing people like yourself and some amazing like musicians and artists as well that are in the scene. Yeah.
What is the hard part?
Thinking
Tell us about the challenges.
It's radio, so you have to be creative. Yeah. You have to be really creative. Like the opportunity that I got with the Late Night Lounge, I got the opportunity because it was an obscure show. It's very random. And I went really Radio Nova with it. I would use film clips and sound bites.
Yeah.
So I wanted to encompass that. I wanted to have an experience, but doing a pop show, a mainstream show, is the hardest thing to do. It really is because, okay, you can be constrained to within that kind of bubble of pop culture, but you can slowly introduce and kind of push it at times. And I did, and people really did respond well to it and really enjoyed it. But it's still, once again, it's radio. It's finding creative ways to get people interested and hooked. How do I do that? I
think a lot of people don't really think of it when they listen to radio, that it is a lot of teamwork as well. Yeah. We are focused on the host. We go to certain shows because of the host or the content the host is providing. But I'm curious about this teamwork because you can't work, and especially in live program, without that other one or others. What is the team on one show in the radio, and how much you really depend on each other?
We do mostly with the music, the music content. Other shows, if you're a producer, like I wear like quite many hats when it comes to producing different things as well, documentaries and other work at radio. But working with, it can be challenging, especially we're very solo. They call us the superstation for a reason because we literally do everything. We direct, we host. You've been there. Like we're very much, on our own. So you have that kind of control. Working with a team is, or working with someone else, it doesn't have any challenges, but if you don't have chemistry, is a worrying
One
thing.
of those media, yeah, you have to have it.
And there's there's feedback as well. There's give and take, sorry. And when there's give and take, it's a really nice thing. There are moments when it comes to challenges, I'd like to mention is sometimes you have people who have this fear, or they're very they have anxiety, or they're scared, and you kind of have to carry this. You're like, don't worry, I'm going to guide you into this. You have to be mindful of it quite a lot. But it can be tiring when you're carrying something. But you have to be, you have to pick up on those little things, and you see how you can work it out. And maybe it's because my mother's a psychologist and she does that to us. Bit of manipulation there, but it helps, it helps. It really does. Because, if you do well, that means I'm doing well. And that's the most important
It is
thing.
a job where you really need to know people well.
Yeah.
You need to be able to work with them.
Yeah.
But that's what makes you a great host. I'd like us to talk a little about the drive back. What a great name for a show.
The drive back.
Yeah. And how long has it been since? So I
the
know
drive
about
back existed way before
way
me.
before. Okay.
Yeah.
So and then you've joined it and kind of became actually the face and voice behind it. At least to me, for the last 10 years I've been here.
Yeah, for the last 10 years. And it's been. That one was a challenge because at the period that I came back to the Superstation, there was only two DJs, which was DJ Linda in the morning, and then I came in the afternoon because there weren't enough people. So it started, it was kind of rough, and I felt like people gave up on the radio station. It felt like it was neglected. So I sat with my boss and I was like, we need to do something about this. She's like, okay. Because they kind of gave up. And I was like, you can't give up. I'm here, I'll help you out. And we'd stay up till late at night, finding music, creating drops, slowly kind of making it a bit more fresher. But the drive back has always been that. And I was trained by that previous host, which was the amazing London lady DJ Vicky. And I was like, okay, I have to carry this and I have to keep it at the same level, if not higher, carry that legacy. She's absolutely brilliant. She taught me a lot, and she put so much effort into it. But also we were so great together, and it was the love of music. I noticed it's usually people who love music I just gravitate towards. And she was brilliant. And she's also a great DJ as well. Yeah.
And these other things you're doing when you mention producing. So we of course know you as a host, and I think your voice, there's no doubt about it, to be recognized, which is great. But what do you do? What do you produce? What other things radio actually does? And the last time I was with you in the show talking about PCC, we've mentioned that there's new energy, there's fresh blood, there are new things you're doing, and we're trying to figure out how we can combine somehow. So you're not a place to just come and talk on a show, which is great, but there are so many other things that you actually do as a radio and you personally. Yeah. So I'm interested in this producing part.
Okay, producer, basically you create content for the show and you try to keep it fresh and interesting. There's always you don't want it to be the same kind of information on the daily. However, you still want people to be interested and intrigued, and you want to hit everything from fun, music, humor, a bit of nostalgia as well. That's that's the formula that I like to do. So it's nice to have a specific format. And our radio station, especially Superstation 99.7, is and will always be top 40 music. will always be that. It can be a bit boring at times, especially lately. The music, I'm not a big fan of the music lately, even though there's a few artists here and there that are actually really good. But you need to hit everyone, and really a huge hit for us is the oldies, the classics, the golden era of music. And it's a huge hit. And we're like, okay, this is like something we can work with. Maybe increase the hours or the days that we have special shows, like when it comes to classic music, and people enjoy them. People love nostalgia. People listen to, that's why, like, bands like Miami Band is like, will forever be huge. It's because it reminds them of their childhood. Yeah. It's always going to come back. Nostalgia. Radio's nostalgia as well. I have like adults come to me and say, I used to listen to you when I was in school. It's like, oh, I'm showing my age.
It's that all odd age, I think, we're in, where
Yeah.
you're young, but you're also old enough for some people to come and tell you things like that. Yeah.
Like most of the people that are now I'm working with, they're like, yeah, I used to listen to you coming back from school. And I was like, that's dead cute as well. It's really, really nice.
Yeah.
It's flattering, actually. They remembered certain things or who I had on, and I was like, okay, yeah. My favorite, I think, this is my favorite story. I think like on a Sunday you play oldies. And just one day I decided, you know what? I'm going to play the genre that I love from the 80s, which is post-punk. So I was like, okay, I'm going to play The Cure. I'm going to play a bit of new wave as well. And it was the first song that I played, and it was Gary Newman's Cars. Classic. What a great way to play the drive back and then play Cars. I had someone call in. I was like answering the phone, and he's like, what's the song that you just played? It was really good. I was like, yeah, it's Gary Newman, and the song's called Cars. It's like, oh, I really, really like it. How do you spell it? So I gave him the spelling. I was like, how old are you? And he's like, I'm 13. I was like, okay, I did my job. That's when I realized I did my job.
But that makes sense. I think when we hear our 6-year-old sing in the shower, for instance, China Girl, or
it's a bit David Bowie,
and then you're like, okay, this is it. That's it. We've done our job.
Exactly. Yeah. That makes you feel so good.
I am inspired to ask you about the educational part of your work.
Right.
Because this is so big. There is a reason. I love that my kids drive frequently with my husband, who listens to all sorts of music, and then they sing all sorts of music in different moments. And then you realize they are aware of punk rock. They know disco. Some weird German disco, from who knows where and when.
Yeah.
And then there's a bit of this, there's a bit of that, but they also like, hum some melodies from some very popular artists nowadays. This gives them a depth they're not aware of yet. Music is everything, everywhere. It's so important.
And its influences, you see it throughout. You can hear it sampled.
Yes. How much of it do you have on mind when you're choosing music and when you're deciding on what you're playing and how and in what moments? Like, there is an educational part in it.
Yeah, creating the perfect playlist. I used to do that quite a lot. Not so much now, but when it comes to oldies, it's always like I'd pick a genre or an era. And sometimes I pick the music depending on the weather. Honestly, I'm like, what is it like right now? If it's gloomy or something, I know what I'm going to play. I'm going to reflect that kind of mood. So I play something like, Massive Attack, a bit of Bjork, a bit of that trip hop kind of feel, especially in the winter time. So it's like that kind of moody music. That's what you would listen to. If it's really sunny outside, I'd be like, oh, okay, I'm going to play a bit of 80s pop. Like just to feel that, or a bit of like, soul, even, and R&B, 60s stuff. So yeah, for me, it's like it's mood. It depends on the mood. But I genuinely, just before the show, I go outside. What's the weather like? And what's the feel? Okay. The weekend, the music's got to be a bit more upbeat. and that's how it works usually. Yeah. It's always a mood. Yeah.
I'd like you to tell us a little bit on how radio changed over the years, how it has affected you, or how much you have affected the changes as well, because I know you have. You've been there for a long time, you and some of your colleagues, and
Yeah.
what the programming of the radio is right now, it is definitely also your influence. So
Wow, yeah.
this mutual influence, the radio on hosts and hosts influencing the radio, I'm very curious about that. In the last 20 something years you've been there.
Yeah, so much. We were still analog at that time when we were like, we were just transitioning to, going basically like with this new tech. And when it was analog, it was really fun. It was like popping in a CD, you've already pre-mixed everything, and it was much easier. But yeah, technology obviously has a huge hand in it. It's made life so much easier as well, and everything sounds smoother. But back then, we genuinely had to, what actual club DJs do, like at a mixer, you do have to like mix everything to make it sound seamless. So it sounds, and that's the goal of it. You want it to sound smooth and seamless. The one rule of radio, obviously, is no silence. If you notice, there isn't silence like that. You'd have fade in and fade outs. That's the technical thing about it now. So now with technology, we could do quite a lot with it. It's helped so much. It's made us lazy, to be honest, because there are moments, let's say, if something has happened with the broadcast or something, or with the mixer, we do have to switch to analog as well. So I kind of miss it. It's like, oh, this is so nice. You've got a CD to pop in, and you yourself don't know what's on that CD half the time. So I was like, I'm clueless what's going on here. So I'm the same boat as you. And that's, as I said, like the beauty of radio is you don't know what's coming next. And that's the nice thing about it. It'd be a nice surprise, I think, most of the time.
One of the things I like, and I liked coming to your show, is how much you're prepared. So you follow the daily life of Kuwait, the cultural scene, the artistic scene, music scene. That takes a lot of time. And I want to ask you about the research you do and how you prepare for your show. And I remember one of my professors, she used to say, I still, after so many years, I still prepare for every class I go to. Is this still the case? Is this your practice still? You really get ready?
I really do.
Obviously, experience helps, but still.
Now it's less because I've gotten so used to it, and it's like second nature to me now. Even like going on the radio, it's like riding a bicycle, as they say. It's like, I could do it blindfolded, because I'm so good at multitasking. But at the very beginning, no, it really wasn't. It was really hard to get, let's say, especially when I was first working there, it's really hard to get information like on people.
Yeah.
But back then, there were such great blogs. There were these great underground Kuwaiti blogs that covered everything, music, culture. Some were musicians as well, some who still continue with their blogs. Nasser Al-Ghatami is one of them, a good friend of mine. He has 965, which is a strictly music blog. And that kind of like inspired me. I was like, I have to have you on the show. Like, because I really enjoyed their blogs and these people. Another person you've had on the show, Shahid Bishara, who is an amazing person. So you kind of meet people through other people, and it's like, wow, I'm being introduced to all these amazing creatives. I'd love to interview you guys, other than being friends. I was like, I see your blogs. I'm gonna, some of them have their bios and their, life and then, and stuff like that. So that helped me a lot. Yeah, it really did.
We said we'll talk about music more, and I'd like us to do that now. So I've known you for quite a number of years. I'm so happy you came to that media breakfast we organized and
Yes.
got this started. Because I also remember from years before that you invested a lot of time and energy in promoting young talents, music talents. So your love for music went beyond personal enjoyment and
Yes.
professional work. Can you tell us more about that? Because I think this is a scene that really asks for an expert, a professional, to just find and how to find these amazing people who we should listen to and who should be the future of music.
Right. There are so many, and not just strictly in Kuwait, who are amazing talents, but even within the region. I'm interested within the region itself, the Middle East itself, and North Africa. It's just been thanks to a friend of mine, Noor Khawas, who was in the scene, and she was part of Red Bull. And at that time, they had Red Bull Music Academy. So whenever she'd meet me, she's like, "We need to get these artists on." And I was like, "I'm your person. Bring them." And she would bring literally everyone, not just musicians, but graffiti artists and lots of stuff like that. So she's helped me a lot. She's been in that kind of world. I've not. I was just introduced and I got really interested in it. And another part of me was really interested in like A&R as well, within that record kind of discovering new artists and bringing these great artists to record labels, because I really am interested. When it comes to music, I look at the record label itself, I follow everything in detail. So I was like, I would love to be an A&R. This is my opportunity, because there is such amazing talent out there, and it's mostly my friends introducing me to other friends as well. And I'm not really a social person, but they're like, "You should meet Maha, she works at the radio." And and that's how it's through friends and networking, as they call it. And I met some great people. Some amazing artists. We've got like Yusuf Yasin, some great bands. We've got Galaxy Juice, Salim has his solo work, and some of the other artists as well have their solo work as well. I'm so proud of them. They're amazing. And there's a couple like Taimur Khaja as well, who's like doing jazz, and he's going to be playing at London Pitchfork Festival. Like, what is going on? So it's really interesting, and I love seeing their journey, from this to that as well.
The circumstances for them are not easy. I mean, I'm not an expert, but the production is not grand, right? The channels to disseminate your music are few. It's not easy to get out there.
Yeah, it's really, especially here. I mean, there isn't really. There really is an interest, but not enough interest and not money pouring in to help. You'd be surprised. There are like small pockets of communities here that are actually doing a really great job of doing like open mic nights. And you find really talented people there. And I'm like, nothing is being done. Maybe I need to go back and do this again, and put their names out there. I'd love to. I'd love to go back and do that again.
We'll keep your word on it.
Yeah. Definitely.
How do you stay relevant in your field?
Interesting.
What do you compare yourself to? How do you do it?
Pop culture. Yeah, it's always pop culture. You want the latest, and we try to kind of keep it short and sweet and compact as much as possible to keep people interested, because we are in a world of TikTok and Instagram, so we kind of have to adapt to that. We can't have long-winded conversations and stuff like that. You kind of have to make it more appealing to the masses as well. You have to be mindful of who's listening. The kids are probably, Gen Z is probably not listening to us. Probably not. Gen Alpha, maybe if they're in a school bus, we're lucky, but they're on their phones most of the time. So
You have a chance with the new generation. Beta is born this year.
yeah,
Yeah.
beta, yeah, definitely. I think so. There's always like this, there's a wave like when it comes full circle.
Oh, yes.
And I have a feeling we'll be back on track again because there's always that nostalgia and people love bringing, things from the past back. And I love that, which is great. It's good news for us.
Oh, definitely. Um, what is innovation in radio today? You mentioned obviously the usage of social networks and staying relevant, what pop culture is giving you. But what are the things you do? I remember we were discussing how you did some shows from the book fair where you were present directly at the book fair.
I personally wasn't, but we had some of our new DJs.
Let's talk
go
about
out
it
there.
because this is the new energy, the fresh blood.
Really? Yeah, what we didn't realize is if you want something, you have to ask for it. And we never asked. I was like, what? Why didn't we do this a long time ago? Now the floodgates are open. We're like, we're asking for everything. So it kicked off with the DJ Aki, of course, who Mohammed Mubarak, he's basically the head of the superstation. And he's like, I'm going to push for everything now. This is our chance to bring in new, fresh faces, maybe some old ones just for nostalgia, and bring memories. And also we've got some brand new cultural shows as well that talk about, that introduces the expat community to the music of Kuwait in English. Finally. So that is really great. So we're introducing a lot more shows. So that, I think, helped when he asked for to do a live show from the book fair. And then it just kicked it off. It was such a hit. It was brilliant. Going outside, talking to people who are right there gives a whole other energy. And you've got 3 people as well. Great chemistry, great energy. People are excited as well. They're like, what is this? Who are you guys,
But this is absolutely amazing. And I think this is exactly the kind of change or the new things you want and you need because you stay true to yourself.
Yes.
But at the same time, you have this completely new concept that you're introducing. I want us to explore this for some of our events. We will talk more.
We have plans.
Yes.
We need to sit and make plans, for
Definitely.
sure.
So now that you've mentioned new people, obviously you have to mentor them, you have to teach them. Who are these people?
Yes.
Where do they come from? What is their educational background?
Now I push them over to Aki. I don't want to. I've trained you guys. I'm done.
Yeah.
It's your turn. Because they're so good.
How old
themselves.
are they? I mean, are these freshly graduates or maybe younger?
Some have been around for years, even older than I am, that I used to listen to on the radio.
Okay.
So I love this, like different generations.
Yeah.
We've got 20-year-olds, from fresh graduates to people who are middle-aged. And I love that. We're hitting everyone, I love also that it's like a mixture of Kuwaiti and expat as well. I think it's very important because that's what the station was and will forever be. Because that's who our listeners are. They're a mixture of local and expats as well. And we have to keep it that way as well. And yeah.
How does a radio grow? Where from here? What are the trends, some of the trends in the world, and what are you trying to do here on our local scene?
It would be nice if Kuwait is opening up a lot more. So we are seeing, like, hopefully a lot more big artists come in. And hopefully we'd love to, like, interview some of these big artists as well. I love them to come and see what it's like here in Kuwait too. I'm excited about that. And it could happen. You never know.
Yeah.
Trend-wise, podcasts is kind of like radio to me. I love podcasts personally. I listen to quite a lot of them. True crime is huge. So maybe introducing that kind of talk radio back again would be great. I think that would be a great trend because Everyone loves, just mates sitting and talking,
Yeah.
And just really great banter. So I think talk radio should be back, definitely.
How is the situation here, if you know, and if you can share with us? Can you study to work in radio,
Yes.
television production, and so on?
Yes, you can.
Locally, I mean, obviously, yeah.
Mass communication is the one to go to, especially if you're not sure of what you wanted to do. I didn't. I just followed in my father's footsteps. Journalism, okay, and my parents were like serious academics, and I was like, do I want to study? It's like, but I did. I really enjoyed mass communication because there's so many fields that you can go into, from film to radio to television, journalism, marketing, like literally everything. So the option is open, and you're introduced to everything, so it kind of helps guide you to where you want to go. And I definitely recommend doing that for sure, instead of being boxed in with a specific,
And if one
something.
wants to come and work on the radio, is this something that's open? Do you do internships?
Literally, it is open for anyone who is interested in it. But as we all do, you have to send in kind of like a demo. You have to give us a fresh idea, tell us who you are. And sometimes, as I said, when I first started, I wasn't that good. Very honest with you. But with a little help from us, we will push you to see if you really want to do it or not, if it's good for you. Would you rather do a scripted show, a recorded show, instead of a live show, perhaps?
It has a specific dynamic. You kind of have to have the nature for it.
Yeah, you do. I think it's all personality as well. I realize if you act like yourself and you are who you are, I think that's the best thing as well to do. Yeah.
I want to ask you, how many days per week you work? Is this like a constant, everyday engagement?
Yeah, on the daily. And it has to be within the minute, because it's pop culture. Things change within seconds. Something is trending or viral. We didn't have that back in the day, It's like we just pulled up, whatever was on Google at the time, and like whatever news. But now it's like within seconds, everything is changing. So how do you keep ahead of everything?
So in this climate of things changing constantly and you having to stay on top of things and working daily, how do you find time to rest and recharge?
There are so many ways other than bed rotting.
But happy to hear that there's that too.
And that is absolutely fine and acceptable for everything.
Absolutely.
Music. I really do.
The healing process,
It really does. You know this. I do have a large record collection, but like I've kind of stopped doing that, but I need to like go back to that as well. But I love to travel is really nice. Taking a break and getting away from the work environment is very important as well. You get a different perspective too.
Especially for creatives who create from scratch.
Yeah. And let's say you can't travel. Taking a road trip, just driving around, playing music helps, Anyway, people love to paint. I love music. Sometimes I create playlists as well. That's how we used to do when we were little. And our mixtapes. So creating playlists, thanks to Spotify and like, Apple Music, you can start creating like these amazing like little playlists with crazy titles and put in pictures. And I was like, I can create a whole mood, and this is fantastic. And and I love discovering new music.
That's lovely.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of excitement in it, finding something new.
And sharing it.
I know that I can tell you, I'm sure many people have told you this, but like my husband, who is a really, really experienced music listener, he has found a few things and he plays it for us. It was a couple of years ago when I'd be like, where did you find this? He's like, Maha, like I've listened on the radio. Which really is, But this is a place where we should be finding out about these things, even though we all have Spotify's and, other places to look. But this is like recommended by someone. That's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
By a professional. And this is the way it was, also the way we used to, because it's different for us.
Yeah.
What should we listen to? Do you have some recommendations? I'm sure there's plenty, but let's say a couple at
I'm
least.
loving and it just came out now. FK Twigs, a new album, is like really fantastic, and it hits like every note. It's a bit more electronic music. If you're a huge like Bjork fan like myself, you would love FK Twigs.
How do you feel about Grammys?
The Grammys?
Yeah,
I think
I
they
mean,
were
they
really
were
good, but it was just very strange as well. One of my favorite artists won a Grammy, which is Doechii, and people have been sleeping on her for a very long time. She's a great hip hop artist. She's got a great sense of humor. Her flow is amazing, and it was a dream. It was like, oh, my baby, she won something, and she deserved it. And she's quite young. She's very, very young as well. You've got Chapel Rowan, Best New Artist. Amazing. Her album like killed it. Funnily enough, I was listening to her album like back in 2023, and I recommended it to my friends, and they're like, oh, it's amazing. Now she's like really huge. I was like, yeah, I know. You get that little bit of like, you know,
insights.
Yeah. And that's what I miss. That was the thing. Like when it comes to rest, take time off to do something that you really love, you know, even like going out to a nice restaurant, cooking. The other day I did a bit of cooking and I really enjoyed it. I cooked for the entire family.
It's amazing therapy.
I loved it. It's like, this is so good. I need to get back to that again. Yeah.
Please share with us as much as you can some of your professional plans, future plans.
Ooh, I'm loving this podcast like so much. I might go back to A&R as well, and that means me leaving the house. I don't mind like leaving the house, but especially when it comes to live music. I love live music. I want more live music to be out there. So maybe this is my chance to actually do this and push it as well.
We're counting on you.
Fingers crossed. Hopefully. I need to go do my research, which is actually go out in the field, you know, and go see these open mic nights, these young talents that are out there. What's going on out there? You know, from bands to solo artists, you know, from all kinds of genres. It's fantastic.
There's a bit of an excitement in our office because Blue is coming.
Oh, yes.
Okay, so I have completely missed this band. Never heard of them before.
Come on, All Rise.
A colleague played a few songs for me and I'm like, okay, this chorus I think I recognize, but faces, no recollection, nothing. And I'm like, when was this? And I was trying to figure out what was I doing at the time when they first came. But the interesting thing is I heard them first in my colleague's car on a cassette because she still has this cassette player, which is absolutely amazing. And then I read that they're coming to Kuwait and I see the excitement's huge. And even though this is no way anything I would probably go and listen and watch and so on, I love it for the people who are waiting for them, for the people who were like little girls at the time or little boys, you know, or even older, heard from their sisters, brothers. Yeah. And they're now around 30 and they're like, oh, Blue is coming, you know, as if this is very contemporary right now.
Exactly. I love that. Yeah. It was like for us when our parents introduced us to the Bee Gees or something, we were like, okay, we know the Bee Gees. They're like, how old are you? But it's like that kind of feeling, you know? Yeah. So it is generational as well. And I love that. And it's also thanks to like these great kind of like thanks to like YouTube as well, you know, recommendations. Don't skip it. Just check it out. Yeah. You know, that's the beauty of it as well. Take away the mystery. Actually, like leave the mystery. Actually, don't take away the mystery. Yeah. You need to have that. Discover something new. You know, you might like it. Yeah.
It was lovely talking. Our time flew very fast.
Thank you so
many
much.
Things to discuss, so many topics to cover, because what you do is so versatile and it's so embedded in culture and the local scene. Well, we'd love to see you again at Culture Corner, and in the meantime, we will keep in touch.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Maha. Our pleasure.